Yeah, let's take the leap now to who they want to replace him, Graham Potter, which makes sense, and I think everyone would agree this is a great hire. OK, you don't think that, Gab, from that face?
I go back to what I said before, right? People have to know what the hell they're doing. I really like Graham Potter. I love what he did at Brighton and everything, or what he's doing at Brighton. I love the fact that, you know, he went to Sweden to learn his trade because nobody in England would give him the time of day or give him a chance at everything else. But you have to understand, how did Graham Potter succeed? He had a real club around him. He had a director of football around him, like Dan Ashworth, who's now at Newcastle. He had proper recruitment consultants. He had an owner who understands the game and who's willing to listen to other people who know more about the game than he does, and they make decisions together. If you think for one moment that you bring in Graham Potter and you don't surround him with the people that have helped Graham Potter be a success, or people like them, then you'll be back to square one. You need these figures at a club. This is why Chelsea were successful while sacking manager all those years. Because, in fact, with Marina Granovskaya, Peter Cech, Michael Emenala before them, they had continuity. And they had people who were specialists in this. So, I like Graham Potter. I think Graham Potter's job is going to be very, very difficult unless he has the infrastructure around him in the front office.
Right, just one more point before we get on to Potter.
Who's going to succeed?
Wait, just one point, Gab. Who is advising him on getting Graham Potter then from a man who wanted to bring in Cristiano Ronaldo, a man who's very new to the game? Where is this coming from?
Well, look, I mean, Graham Potter's been talked about. It's not like Todd Bowley locks himself in a box and doesn't read the paper. He speaks to agents, he speaks to intermediaries. He's been speaking to people all summer long. Graham Potter's had a lot of buzz around him.
So he's not thinking Zidane, he's not thinking Pochettino. Suddenly Potter has come out of his head.
I don't know. I don't know if he's been in touch with Zidane and Pochettino. I mean, personally, I don't think either one would be a great appointment at this time. But he certainly had the opportunity to go and talk to Brighton. Brighton are going to want him to pay, I think it's £60 million, round about $18 million in a release clause if they're going to lose him during the season. But yeah, he's got people advising him, but he doesn't have specialists, people with actual club roles. He hasn't hired those guys yet. He tried to get Michael Edwards in the summer, didn't happen. So that's something else he has to work on, and I think he should prioritize that as much as the new coach.
So who can? So who's this? If Graham Potter can't do it, the picture you've just painted, Gab. So who can do it then without all these people? Nobody.
Well, I don't see. Well, so I'm sorry, but Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, right? This idea of the omnipotent manager making every single decision, it doesn't exist in the modern game. So all I'm saying is, Potter's track record shows that he can excel when he has good people around him, and he's had that. To throw him in there without those people around him is going to make Graham Potter's job a lot more difficult. I don't know if he's going to succeed or not, but it just makes it more difficult.
But I think, it's a roundabout story, I think recruitment is more important when you're at a smaller club and you don't have the finances. That sounds silly, because you have to recruit, of course, when you're at Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, United, all these big clubs in England. You've got to recruit, of course you have, and if you can find some gems that are cheaper, even better. But it is more important when you're recruiting at a smaller club, when you can't go and match the bigger guys like Brighton, and you've got to go and find some little gems here, they're cheaper, and you sell them on, and you do blah, 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 Cucurella and one or two others. They brought Lamptey in from Chelsea, who's a youngster at Chelsea. All these things. It is important at these clubs, but then money talks. They go out. You don't need, you don't need recruitment for Aubameyang. You don't need a recruitment for Koulibaly. You don't need all this recruitment for these big players. Liverpool didn't need recruitment to go and send Virgil van Dijk and Alisson. Yeah, there are little gems hidden in there that data analysts and others will say, listen, let's go and get him, because his stats back up. But it is more important when you're managing the smaller clubs to have that recruitment.
Is this a good fit?
Will Graham Potter, if he gets the job, be sacked within 2 or 3 years? Every chance. So it's his choice if he wants to take it, if he's been offered the job. You know my thoughts on him. I thought he should have been one of the favourites along with Conte for the Tottenham job. I think from a long-term process at a club that are looking long-term, Graham Potter with the right structure, as Gab said, is a very, very good fit. Whether he wants to take the chance to go to a club who, it turns out, even with a change of ownership, are still going to hire and fire, Real Madrid style, that's his choice. Whether he wants to make that step and take the risk. I think he probably does, because it might never come again. But can he go from coaching the Koulibalys and the Thiago Silvas and the Aubameyangs and all the stars they've got, and they have got good players, can his message get across the same as it's getting across with these guys at Brighton? It doesn't always happen.
Why did they hire Tuchel in the first place? Because he was a great coach. Oh, by the way, Graham Potter's not a bad coach. So what's the difference?
But it would be a sea change from Chelsea, not to go after what's perceived as the big name that's out there, and go down to somebody who's, cutting their teeth at a smaller club in the Premier League and doing a marvellous job. Yeah. That would be a big sea change for them to do that.
Tuchel, though, has been there before. Big clubs, PSG, Borussia Dortmund. He's experienced that sort of demand. This is new ground for Potter when you talk about the difference.
Right, coaching players, right. So we talk about, yes, there are situations, people like Neymar and Mbappe, who I think are on a different level than even your bigger players, right? And at Chelsea, when you walk through the door, the players are absolutely waiting to hear you. They want to know what you're all about. Right. And if you've got any weaknesses, they'll spot it straight away, right? It's not the aura that you have when you walk in the door. It's what you do when you get in the door. And Graham Potter clearly knows what he's doing when it comes to coaching players. And so when he starts coaching that team on paper is good. That team has talent, it's got quality, it's got brains, it's got everything. Tuchel hasn't been able to put the jigsaw together. Right. Potter, why can't he put it together?
By the way, I'm missing a little bit with Thomas Tuchel as well. Not suggesting he's not, his resume is great and blah, blah, blah. I'm not suggesting the guy can't coach. But I'm missing a little bit with this sort of Chelsea loving. The fans go, Thomas was good. Well, I mean, yeah. Is he the first guy to walk in, pick a shambles up or pick a club up with the chin on the floor and win the Champions League at Chelsea? No, he's not. He's not. And what did we see off the back of that? Well, there was a couple of cup finals, but there was no. Ultimately, they got beat. Spare me the other Super Cups.
Well, they're world champions. He made them world champions.
Spare me the Club World Cup. But they were a country mile off the top last year, right?
Okay.
So I'm not quite on the page with this as the greatest demise of a manager, and he should never be sacked, and he was the best thing since sliced bread, and we can never move on. Because he wasn't that brilliant at Chelsea, was he? I mean, he was decent, but he's not the only one. Roberto Di Matteo and Avram Grant nearly did it. So.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.